Hello, good evening, and welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and those who identify otherwise, for this very exciting season finale of the SSRI GT3 Tuesday Night Sprint Season Championship Season 12. What a mouthful and a half to say. Everything is up for grabs except for the overall championship win, the pro class championship win, and the silver class championship win, as they have already been decided. But besides that, everything is still to play for this evening of racing here at the mighty Mount Panorama racing circuit somewhere in Australia. At least the virtual version, which might actually be hosted from a server in the UK, who knows. Nevertheless, the race will be on. Still all the honors to play for. Regan Mitchell, already crowned GT3 Pro Champion. That is mathematically guaranteed after a second place finish last time out at Kyalami. Also, there's some echoing in my headset, Chris. And Fabio Carriera clinching the GT3 Silver Championship after a second place finish as well last time out at Kyalami. Both of them have scrap results that makes it impossible for anyone else to catch up to them, unfortunately. But the battles for the P2s are still up for grabs in the different classes, so that will still be to play for out there on track. And of course, the overall honors in just getting a good result at Mount Panorama. It's a special circuit and everyone wants to win here. Challenging race conditions going through the mountain so many times over the course of a race. Just keeping it out of those walls. That will be the actual Mr. Warner Oliver key guide to the or key to the race. Keeping it out of the walls, and don't do a fully time trial setup because you will murder the tires. Actually, one of the few tracks where we can see tires punctured just of natural courses if they're not looked out for. So that will be interesting. Not that I think anyone will do that aggressive setups in an actual race, but we will wait and see for this exciting evening. I do think we have some sort of archived track map laying in the background somewhere in the shed. It's a little bit messy in here at the minute, but let's just see if we can try and dig it up. Perfect. Here it is. Rounding the final corner, Murray's corner, to start the flying lap, start-finish line, or at least the finish line early on the start-finish straight, before coming into hell corner, which is true hell for the drivers on lap 1. So many cars into a 90-degree corner, and very, very narrow tracks we'll see all the way around. Onto the mountain straight, the first of the two main straights on the track. Very long, very good overtaking opportunities, especially on lap 1, as we'll see cars 1, 2, maybe even 3, 4 wide down here, coming into the quarry. Reasonable high-speed corner, turning in a little bit of camber as well to help the cars getting turned, but this is where the wall's starting to get close. Up the mountain we go, through the quarry and up to the cutting, very blind, turning it, just lifting off the throttle, some even go flat out and hitting the brakes hard. Up through the quarry, difficult corners, it really starts to elevate here. Up running towards the cutting, the first part of the double right-hander. I think I'm a little bit behind on the track map. I think we're at Frog Hollow at the minute, before Salmon Park. Again, the best of drivers will keep it flat out all throughout the mountain, even this corner. The next one, some drivers will likely lift, most drivers will likely lift here through the very peak of the track before coming into Skyline. First time braking, this is where it gets difficult when you're braking downhill. A lot of speed, and the more speed you can carry, obviously the better the lap times, but those walls, they are getting very close to you when you're going down, and the elevation is truly dropping here. It's crazy how much it drops. Basically feel like you have no grip as you're going down here, especially touching the brakes. A difficult right left-hander into the dipper, and Forest elbow the small kink. A lot of cars have ended up in those particular walls over the last couple of seasons, or the last 12 seasons we've been racing around here, before we head on to the Convert Straight, the main straight of the track. One of the reasons why, even though it's so tricky up the mountain, most drivers elect to run absolutely zero downforce on the cars to maximize the speed before getting into the Domino's Ding Dong Corner Complex. Just a small king, and then the left right-hander, where most of the overtakes likely is going to happen this evening of racing. And a lot of action. The walls again getting close on the outside. That cars have been collected in it as well. honorable mention to the pit lane for being extremely difficult around here before hitting Murray's corner again here for the final time. The very tail end of the field might get the green flag on the first lap in the middle of that corner, and that is so difficult. But yeah, that's one lap of Mount Panorama. As we still have a few minutes until qualifying, actually, so we could maybe just have a look at the calendars of this season and other things that we are doing. Of course, the main championship that everyone wants. That's the wrong season, apparently. Just ignore that one, people. It's a technical difficulty. All these pictures in the background, they are getting mishmashed here in the small shed. The LMU GT3 Sprint Championship, that is truly something to behold. Though only one round to go, that have been an epic season so far. Highly recommend everyone interested in GT3 racing signing up for the next season of the LMGT3 Sprint on LMU. Truly astonishing. There have even been some strategy races where the option was to save fuel or to take the pit stop and add a little bit in the race throughout the season. But yeah, only Bahrain remaining. Also a very nice switch up of calendar for the people that mostly do ACC. Speaking of ACC, please do stay around for the next season of our lovely Tuesday evening championships, and remember to get signed up for that as well, as we expect to continue these broadcasts of the races. I unfortunately don't have a results sheet for the season so far, but that have been exciting, at least, with multiple finishes coming down to the wire and new people emerging as favorites to win in these events. So yeah, interest in GT3 racing and racing on the LMU platform, let us know and get involved in the LMGT3 stuff. We also run the SSRI SLMS Championship multi-class racing on LMU. That happens on Wednesdays. We unfortunately don't have the calendar for it, but until this much, we're going into round 2 tomorrow with a 90-minute race at Circuit de la Salle, of course, the Le Mans circuit, with the hypercars and LMGT3 cars. Stay tuned on the Simsport Racing International YouTube channel, and of course the Discord to get more information about that. As time will progress, and we likely will get updated information on these events. Highly recommended, as the racing is proper good in these championships as it stands at the minute. Jesus Christ, would those cars please start rolling out of the garage? They are late. Those darn Aussies, you know. Oh yeah, maybe we are early. They are a little bit behind. Oh, wait, here they are. On track, Ottelman, first driver to get out onto the track after qualifying, or well, for the start of qualifying. Just flashing the lights to get rid of a little glitch that can be with headlights on the cars. Warming up the tires, as he will be the first driver to start a flying lap as he rounds Murray's corner for the first time in a live situation. Ottelman not having had the best of seasons so far. Could have had an outside opportunity for big glories, but haven't really paid off. I was just looking at the standings, and really doesn't seem like it have been a good season for him so far. Oh yeah, he's missed he's missed 2 rounds, and that's why he's only scored with 10 points at 21st in the pro class. Season high of 8th, which happened on round 3. As he goes up the mountain flying for the first time. I do love those cameras mounted on the walls. As he goes, just riding the curb. Can be a little bit tricky if you don't have the car set up correctly. The front engine cars usually does that a lot better than the mid and rear engined machines. Oh, that's a little bit of a touch there on the wall. A little oopsie from Ottelman, but I don't think that will be enough to hinder him in completing the first flying lap at least. I will expect most of the cars to get some sort of a battle damage during the race, as we already have one car that bended at the mountain section returning to garage early. But that's the beauty of ACC, you can just go back out on track. As Ottoman comes around, first driver to put a time on the board, 1 corner to go. Long lap around Mount Panorama. As he does the 201.0, immediately beaten by Peters, who's already below the 2-minute mark. That are some truly fast lap times. So I'm just trying to have a little bit of a look around. Why can't I find what I'm looking for? Doesn't really matter. As obviously Ottoman goes again, though still set third after the first run of cars. Helmout also up there in fourth, but a good 1.2 seconds from Ottoman up to Peters. The wildcard drivers of Solik in P2 at the minute, less than a tenth behind Jordy Peters, who's currently set in third this season. Had a little bit of a bad round at Silverstone and then again in round 3, but he have been thereabouts in both round 2 and 4. So Peters would probably like to get the win around here just to show that he's still there. And just because Regan ran away with this championship, he's still up there fighting for it. And he will not give up on championship aspirations for the next season. Jim Solik. Sounds very American, the name. Not judging, but a wildcard driver in the Mustang. Beautiful machinery. I do love the grunt of that V8 as it heads down the Conrad Straight. Oh. No, he haven't. Maybe it's just maybe I shouldn't talk to the voices in my head as they go. Anyway, Solik, second lap that he'll put on the board. What will that be? Coming across the final corner and the line. Peters improves, but so does Solik, but 2 tenths behind. But still a good 13 minutes to go in the session. This is one of the tracks where you might want to be a little bit more cautious about how you plan your qualifying stints because of the lap is so long. Usually a lot of drivers, they will go out with fuel for 2 flying laps, maybe just 1, and then back to the pits to get new tires. But around here, then you're not getting an awful lot of attempts at qualifying. Same goes for a track like Spa, but yeah, I think some drivers might have fueled up for quite a while. We see Solik and Peter still out there. Ottelman haven't gone in for fuel as far as I remember. So they might have fueled up to go half distance and then go for another run. Regan Mitchell's set in 7th. Already mathematically secured champion, but doesn't improve much. Up to 5th, still a second to find for the Ferrari driver. Quite a long way up. But maybe the car's set up better for racing than qualifying. We'll have to wait and see on that. Yeah, where is Bas' mom, to be honest? She's usually here. Might want to hear Bas if everything is okay. On board with Regan Mitchell, as you can see how close the walls are as we go up the mountain. All the way in, on the brakes, getting it turned in. Getting the rotation could have been slightly better, I think, there, but 9 out of 10 at least. Up the hill, he does have a little bit of traffic ahead of him, but that could be an advantage if he gets the toe after the mountain section. Of course, up here it's a little bit of an issue with the dirty air. Oh, that's a wall tap. Could have been down to the dirty air as he still goes through into Skyline. At least this would be Skyline as he drops down the mountain once again. the quick flick to the left and the right. Difficult to get the car slowed down here. The track does help you rotate quite a lot. Another wall tap. I think that some could be more issues as it comes down to the diver. Goes to the middle of the track, just take full advantage, and then early on the throttle out to the back straight. Did he visit barrier there on the exit as well? Haven't been the cleanest of laps for Regan Mitchell in the Ferrari. So for one of the cars that I've tried puncturing in on this track on just 30 minutes of racing. But yeah, that might be concerning for Regan Mitchell, but he might also be quite a bit of better driver than me as he goes through the dominoes ding-dong. Basically the only place on the track where there's enough runoff that you can go out there if you have a little bit of a whoopsie. Into Murray, and then across the line, Regan Mitchell's goes. Does improve a little bit, but so have the top drivers so far. It's a Solik that have taken over the provisional pole position with a 1:59.347 to be precise. With Peterson Ottleman up there in third. Seems to be pretty strong, but not a lot of drivers dipping below the 2-minute mark. Only 2 drivers so far. That's a bit surprising. On an optimum track and cool conditions, this should be a prime hot lapping area for the drivers. Temperatures at least. Maybe a track that would have been 10 degrees hotter would have been more lovely, but a little bit surprised that not more drivers have reached that mark. Maybe it is more tricky out there than it looks like. Jordy Peters from P2, does he improve? Not at all. He goes to the garage to take a fresh set of tires. A lot of traffic up the mountain. Oscar Mesa in frame. I do think the Aston ahead is also on a flying lap, so now he is receiving blue flags, it looks like. Oh, those for Mesa is hard to call really, as Mesa goes for the spin on the top of the mountain. Takes the wall, but that's the thing, if you're used to being flat out through that corner in practice, then all of a sudden in a hot situation, then you have dirty air, and then all of a sudden it's not flat out anymore because you have the dirty air. And Mesa definitely found that out the hard way. Parties. One of the drivers that I think goes all the way back to the WTCC championship that we had running way back when. Or could have been, at least there was some Polish guy. Driver that I do recommend watching back those races on YouTube if you have a little bit of time one day. Could be difficult to find in the archives, but definitely worth a watch. Party's currently in 21st position. Quite far down the order of the drivers that have put a lap time in. 3 wildcard drivers though haven't decided to qualify yet. Mackie, Vavard, and oh sorry, that's the rookies. Oh, is it wildcard drivers? The red one. Oh, that's wildcard drivers. That's Mackie, Vavard, and Blisters that I haven't qualified yet. Still just parked there at the garage. Maybe doing the strategy of avoiding the carnage that could happen on the first lap of this race, but a little bit risky if you want a good result. Hard to win from the back. Oh, that was close to the wall, Parties. But just about. Hahaha, Chris. As he goes through this, it looked like the McLaren actually, even on the outlap, was quicker up the mountain than Parties. Usually a pretty strong car, the Mercedes, on the mountain section. As he comes down the mountain, a little bit sliding onto the Conrad straight, as that McLaren definitely goes wide there. And Parties backs off the lap. Lets the McLaren through. Brian Schickerman, last of the pro class drivers at the minute, sat in 22nd, 4 seconds behind the pole lap. He can't be too happy about that as it stands, but Still a long time to go in qualifying. He can do 3-4 hot laps still at this point, if we have the fuel for it. So plenty of time to improve. Speaking of drivers that needs to improve, Carriera, the mathematically secured champion of the silver class, is currently set in 23rd and last of the silver drivers. Even though there are only 5 silver drivers that are here tonight, that in last, he cannot be happy about that. Almost 6 seconds after qualifying, or well, pole holder at the minute. He will be out there trying to improve. Could be a confidence question or a setup question. Maybe he's a little bit hungover from getting the championship still. As Sugarman goes flying down the first straight, the mountain straight. Going into Quarry Hocking the inside there. I wonder if we have some sort of issue with the car. Doesn't look too fast, but could just be my old eyes that are deceiving me. As he goes up the mountain, climbing, climbing, climbing. Already passed through Frog Hollow. No, I think that would have been Frog Hollow, the first part of that corner that he just passed. Then it's Salmon Park after, yeah. Definitely one would be Frog Hollow. Whoop, that's a car on the wall ahead of Brian Schickerman, but passes through without losing too much time. That look a little bit conservative. That was Carriera in the wall. He will be pushed for time now. Could still do 2 flying laps if he gets out there immediately. Doesn't look too good for the silver champion. He might be happy at this point that it's already clinched. As Schickerman goes down the back straight, the Conrad straight, before dropping into the Domino's Ding Dong. Hard on the brakes on the 100 board, getting the car turned in and rotated, fully on the throttle on the exit. In front of the more deceiving curves of the racing world. Actually rather tall curves here at Mount Panorama. Comes onto the start-finish line. Does he improve from 22nd? No improvement. But only 1/10 behind the provisional best, so let's wait and see. Nick Vargas have put himself... Oh, that's a Solik. He is out of qualifying. He is not on the server anymore. That is very surprising, but Vargas have jumped up to P2 with Dimitri de Knoit now in 3rd. Odelman 4th and Mitchells in 5th with Babel, I think I called him Babel earlier. Babel in 6th, Garcia 7th, but yeah, 3:30 to go. Nick Vargas in P2, giving chase to Jordy Peters. I hope that we see Jim Solik back before the race start. As that would be reasonable, lovely. Oh, he's not American. He is from somewhere that's designated PA. Oh, that could be Pennsylvania. Hard to say. No, he's from Panama, of course. Jim Solik. So that's perfect. Even better with the strong Mustangs. Hope he gets back before the race start, as Vargas will have traffic on his penultimate qualifying lap. Could be the last also, but at least no more than this and one more. First car gets nicely out of the way in the Aston Martin. Oh, sorry, not the Aston Martin, the McLaren. Some sort of British car. As Vargas will run up the mountain, Dimitri de Knoit, will he improve from 3rd? Peters into the pit, so he will definitely not improve anymore. He doesn't have time to go out and start a new lap. So Jordy Peters' lap time, he's confident about it, so he'll stay with that. De Knuit across the line. Slight improvement in third, but not enough to improve his place in the standings. But still one more shot for the Bentley driver. As he goes down the mountain straight. Backs off completely there. Close to being dangerous for De Knuit. Could have collected a car on a hot lap, but De Knuit done with qualifying. It will not be better than P3 for the Bentley driver. Regan Mitchell's also on a hot lap, going up the mountain. Can he improve from 5th position? Odelman also into the pits. Good qualifying from Odelman so far. Mitchell's full throttling it over the mountain, not into the wall this time. Crests the top, into Skyline he goes, and then it's downhill section. No time to be cautious. Full risk for Regan Mitchell's. Oh, well, Regan Mitchell. There's no S at the end of the name, but you know what I mean. As he goes into the demo, hooks the inside wall as early on the throttle as possible. And now there's not much you can do but keep the foot planted for the next couple of seconds. As he runs down the Conrad Straight. This could be it for Pole. Peters have gone out on track for some reason, maybe checking out some setup stuff, but Regan Mitchell's into the Domino's ding dong. Hits it nicely, doesn't go on the curb, so he doesn't upset the car on acceleration. Looks good so far. One more corner for Regan Mitchell. And across the line he goes, up to 4th for Regan Mitchell. One place improvement, that drops Odelman down into 5th. Garcia still on a hot lap. Sat in 7th position at the minute. Also Schegerman did improve his qualifying lap up to 20th. But Garcia out there on track in the 55 car. Will he improve from 7th? 1 second, 23 thousandths to find for pole. One corner to go. Final driver to cross the line, qualifying and finish it up. As he gets over there, still 7th, does improve, but not enough to move up from 7th. Although Vargas still on track. Is Vargas still on a hot lap? He must be, surely, since it's counting. Let's see, does Vargas take it on the very, very final lap from P2? Will he improve? I think he did, but not enough to take the pole. Strong qualifying from the drivers, but as per usual, we'll take a small break, insert your own commercials here, and get some snacks ready for this mighty final race of the season.
30 seconds.
We are slowly getting back as the drivers, they have started to line up on the grid. As we can see, the cars dropping from the jacks, meaning that they have selected their race setups when they drop down.
10 seconds.
And they're fully ready to go racing. 75 minutes around Mount Panorama, plus this formation lap, plus maybe plus one at the end. It's 75 minutes and then to the flag. One mandatory pit stop to be had. Fuel mandatory, tires optional. This might be one of the few tracks where tires would be the quickest strategy, but I bet you there'll be one or two drivers trying to go to the end on the starting tires, and then just using the pit stop to get out of traffic. Jordy Peters will lead the way in the pro class, and Iron van der Linden in the silver class. Peters from Polar, he have done so many times before, but this time will be the one where he really wants to win. Taking a win this late in the season. Of course, he won last time out at Kyalami, which was his first win of the season. Jordy Peters, so finishing off strong would be what he would want the most, I think. Vargas still with a reasonably good chance to get into the top 3 in the championship standings, but he will need Peters or De Knuit to finish way behind him. He could, if he wins the race and one of those two drivers have a horrendous result, then he could potentially sneak up to the top 3. So everything to play for Nick Vargas as well. De Knuit sat in second, only 1 point ahead of Jordy Peters. So that's a direct battle winner of those two cars on track. The Bentley starting third and the Porsche in the lead. Winner of those two will take second in the Drivers' Championship. So that will be something to look out for. A lot of closeness further down the table as well, but we might get further into that as the race progresses. Who can still win the championship? It is mathematically decided that Regan Mitchells will become champion of the pros, and it is also mathematically decided that Fabio Carriera will win the silver class. As Carriera's scrap result is a second place from round 1, meaning if he finishes worse than second today, then that result will count again. For Regan Mitchell, his scrap result was a third place in round 3, and with a gap this big, then it's impossible for De Knuit to catch up to him. Same for Jordy Peters, as he will have enough points after this one to hold it. So the battles are on for the second places in the championship. The silver class is very, very much so wide open, with 3 cars within 2 points for P2, being Scueto, Kyalami, and Iron van der Linden. And Blitzmer also with an outside chance of getting it done, but he will need a mighty result this time around. But Kyalami not racing this one, as the drivers are starting to line up in double file formation to get this one done and start the final round of the season. It's all about the glory for a lot of these drivers, getting themselves into the fictional history books with a Mount Panorama win, a true classic. 75 minutes of racing will start as they round the corner and they get to the start line, which means that we are shortly about to be Racing! Good start from Jordy Peters. Vargas keeps the second and Knoit third as they go on to the mountain straight for the first time. A lot of battlings further down the grid. That's Garcia under pressure. I think that is that's one of the cars that we do know the names of. That's Van Liebenstein behind Garcia, pulling out either. Liebenstein had a great start as he tried it on the inside, or Garcia had a horrendous one going around as Van Liebenstein gets it done. As they go up the mountain for the first time, this is where it gets tricky for the drivers, slotting into the single file formation here and finding your room. That will be critical. Most of them have gone into it. We have seen a side-by-side action up the mountain before in the early laps. Very clean getaway so far, it looks like. Oh, that's a wall tap there for some of the drivers, including Garcia. Early damage to that Audi, it looks like. As he will have to carry that at least until his pit stop. Highly doubt that it would be worth repairing for such a small tap, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. As he goes flying down the mountain into the dipper for the first time in the race. As everyone still looks to be at least reasonably unharmed. As most of the drivers, only the few drivers starting from the pit lane are yet to clear the mountain section. Jordy Peters had a massive start and great run through the mountain as he have made a gap already. Partis and Mesa side by side down the Conrad straight and into the Domino's. Ding dong, we go a little bit onto the gravel. There goes Mesa, but he does get the move done. But will it be the old switcheroo? It did go well there for Partis as he reclaims the position of 17th. As Mesa also gets pressured down by Steve Parker, who gets it done into Murray. As he attempted the overtake, and by the end of it, he lost one net on that situation. As Parker gets up into 18th and Mesa drops down into to 19th. In the McLaren, second time of asking through the hill corner. Sugvevard, one of the drivers starting from pit lane. Didn't get out of that early. It looked like Sheckerman and Mackie, the other drivers, not getting a qualifying lap in. Not sure if Mackie actually took to the grid or not, but Sheckerman surely started from the pits. I think Mackie also started from pit row. As the drivers go swishing up the mountain. Ooh, that was a very loose Porsche up ahead. I think that was Verhelst. We saw that getting a little bit loose on the run up the mountain. As you go, that's Parker. Parker have gone around on the mountain early on the mountain section. I think he'll have to wait for the entire field to pass him as he'll drop from 18th. Yeah, parked in the wall. Could have been contact, could have been a misjudgment of braking as he gets rolling again. Wonder if he had contact there with the wall. The car looks reasonably unscathed. I did have some damage on the front. Hard to tell really with that livery on the car. Barvel, the French driver in the Ferrari, applying the pressure to Verhelst, but also having to think a little bit about the Porsche behind of Van Liebenstein. I do remember those Porsches being hellishly quick at the Nürburgring, so let's see what they can do down this straight. Not really close. It looks like that Barvel is closing up to Verhelst. Not enough to go for the move, but enough to get Verhelst to go on a defensive line, losing himself a little bit of time as Barvel will get the run into Murray. If it doesn't get caught off, it does, but look at that onto the start-finish straight. Could try forward into hill corner, but it would be risky as they have so many cars behind that he would risk getting overtaken by Van Liebenstein immediately after. Through hill we go, and now it's all about the acceleration. Getting a good run on the mountain straight is very much worth it. Vale goes into the pits. Wonder if he had a little bit of a whoopsie as well. Or if he thinks he goes to go to the end here with fuel. That could be the thing, and then just getting out of traffic could be very much worth it for Sander Vale. Known for doing the a little bit offset strategies. The Ferrari driver in the 808. Up the mountain once again. Here's what happened to Steve Parker riding on board. Already getting a little bit loose there in the quarry. Let's see what happens. Oh, he gets overtaken into the cutting. And then just taps the rear end there, then hard on the brakes, spinning it around, hitting the inside wall. Van Melis, as per usual, gets collected. Then he tries to just get out of the way from the other drivers and boinking the wall. Trying to get into the driveway, it looks like, almost. Sparville under a lot of pressure. This group, or this train, running here behind Ottleman. Looks very racy. Ottleman gathering quite a bit of a train. Garcia being the last one currently connected to it, being the caboose of it all, but not that far down to Helmout, nor down to El Mato and Macho after that. Barwell running deep there into the Domino's ding dong. That can be tricky when you are behind other cars. The number one car have gone into a little bit of situation. Looks like yellow flags down the main straight as the car retires. One more out of it. Could have been an issue through the dipper. Yeah, that would have been blisters, I think. We haven't had the best of the runs today, unfortunately. Less than 10 minutes into the race, and the mountain are starting to claim its victims. Bavell this time on the attack. On Garcia, pulls out, but have to pull back in again. Doesn't look like the Ferrari have the overspeed on the Audi there. It could be down to Bavell maybe running a bit more downforce than Garcia. Oh, as they go side by side up the cutting. As that's Garcia that gets wheezed into the wall. And that's bad news for Garcia, because now we have a bad run up the mountain, have no momentum. And that will be a Helmout behind, I think. Applying the pressure. It is difficult to overtake here. You are allowed to try, but have to be cautious about it, as Helmout just stays put behind. As Garcia now becomes a bit of a train driver with both Helmout, Amato and Macho behind. Replay action. This is Blisters. Ooh, yeah, into the dipper we go, and big contact with the wall and the BMW. Rolls out, but maybe I think the damage might have just been too much for the BMW driver as he pulls to the side. Doesn't look too damaged, the steering though. But that could just be something for the eye, but he went out of it nevertheless. Garcia pulling the gap to Helmout. Not a lot, but just enough that he's not under immediate threat anymore. He will have a mission trying to catch back up to Barvell in 8th. Really elbows out driving from the Ferrari driver on that overtake, but good to see that we still have people that are brave enough to go for it. Milos Masha involved in this one. That's Masha and Amato. They have been close for a while. The two purple cars. Battle of the Purps. No, maybe not Battle of the Purples. Through the quarry into the cutting. Masha there, or Masha deciding to not go for it there, opting out of the risk. But now the run up the mountain, we know the Porsche is good here, but having to lift, it looks like. Coming into to Frog Hollow, we should say, giving it its full name, but backing off a little bit over the top of the mountain, running wide. We have seen getting onto that grass before, really being able to catch people out and send the car spinning into the walls there as you lose all of the grip. But running down the mountain again, it's where you really want to stay close to the other driver. Oh, that's the mistake from Milos Macho. As he goes into the wall, that's a little bit of a collection there behind. Big crash behind the trees. Milos Macho hitting the wall down into the dip, and not much that Macho could do after that. just trying to stay out of the other drivers, but as they both tried to go left and right around him, there was not much he could do there. Partis getting the worst of that, as he drops to 23rd, or not 21st after that unfortunate incident. But that's the thing, getting down there, if you hit that brakes at the wrong point into the dipper, then you're braking while still turning, and the weight on the car is not on a good place for stopping. Van Liebenstein early into the pits. Van Mellis must have been in the group there, catching up to Marcio's incident, but still running out there, known to be collected in a lot of these situations. The Dutch driver. A lot of cars close together into the mountain section. That's where it gets really risky, and where you do not want to be the driver having the bad run, as that Ferrari does. I think that was Iron van der Linden, leader of the silver class. I think he'll lose the lead now to Squirto. Yeah, Squirto does get through side by side still. I think Squirto might have lifted there to let van der Linden by. It could have looked like, but yeah, opting better to stay alive than to go for a crazy move this early on. So still leading the silver class does Iron van der Linden after that small mistake into the cutting. As they go down to the dipper, you can see that van der Linden going for the safer line into the dipper, where we sort of just angle the car a little bit more to the middle of the track as you're braking, where the quicker line will to get an early rotation and then get the car stopped in a perfectly straight line to open up the dipper more. But that is where it gets risky under braking. Basically taking the same line that I prefer through there, the safer one. Speaking of this track, this is last time we went 24-hour racing. It was around here. I do remember a team of 2 drivers just being super drunk all race. I wonder who that was. Still managing to complete. I also think that was it Regan Mitchell, maybe, that was Michael Thomas that did almost the entire race alone. Nevertheless, in this race, Helmut have caught up to Garcia once again, as they are probably planning to start battling. I'm not playing, but they will probably start battling soon. If Helmut can stay close enough through the mountain section. Over the top and into skyline we go. Look at the view from up here. Whoa, that's a crash ahead of them. That was, I think that was Bavel that got spun around there, spun himself around. Hard to say really what happened, but fortunate for him, it's the one place on the mountain where there's a little bit of runoff there in skyline, and he was able to get that car spun around reasonably quickly and get it back going again, as he gets overtaken once again through the dipper and drops to 16th position. So he'll be behind Squirto now. I wonder what happened to... no, that's not Squirto, that's a McLaren. That's Misa that have gone by him. He will likely have taken damage after that wall contact. Ruben Tang, and that's Marcio. No, that's not Marcio. Yeah, that is Marcio ahead of him. Well, surely it looks like it at least. With Van Mellis just lurking in the background. Ruben Tang, also driver that have been in and out of the championships for quite a while. I seem to remember racing him way back when in the SRI days, where we were the Nissan brothers for a season. But yeah, just a little bit of a history lesson there of how long he have been around in sim racing. At least racing with us in some format or another. Squirto still hunting down Iron van der Linden. Looks like van der Linden have gained himself a little bit of a gap, some breathing room, but not the best run through the cutting there. And Squirto immediately back up underneath van der Linden. Look at the difference in momentum up the up the mountain. Squirto having to back off there through Frog Hollow. Another car have gone around. I think that's the 103, it looks like. Yeah, that's an Amato this time around. Just before Skyline cresting the top of the mountain. Getting out into that treacherous gravel trap out there. It is a tricky corner because you're coming in with very, very high speeds. And most cars will just have a tiny lift on the throttle and then immediately back on it again. And even though the run after the corner is not that long, you do lose a lot of time if you lift too much, even touch the brake through there. When you're in qualifying mode, I think you can be flat out through. As van der Linden is still defending from Squirto. Well, he haven't really gone defensive yet in this this battle, but Squirto definitely breathing down the neck of his Ferrari mate. But van der Linden is usually a pretty composed driver, so unlikely that he will be easy to get past. Amato goes into the pits, not too surprising if he had some contact with the wall. Van der Linden really placing the car good there through Hell's Corner. Looked like Squirto could have had the run, but couldn't get on the throttle early enough. This time up the mountain again through the cutting. On board with van der Linden into on board with Squirto into the cutting. That was Quarry before, of course. This time much better run from Iron van der Linden. And at this point, it is so frustrating having a car right behind you through this section of the track, because you can't just keep your eyes on track. You do have it in the back of your head that you're under pressure from behind as van der Linden goes wide and Squirto gets the move done in the mountain. But you do have the a little bit of focus in the rear view mirror, and that's not what you want when you're going through a full concentration section, and that might have been what went wrong there from van der Linden. Just getting a little eye in the rear view mirror, and then the mistakes come. Getting pressured into that. That's I think that's a 77 car of Paul Mackey, again at the top of the mountain, as we saw with Amato as well. Getting the car turned around rather slowly on that one, but he have plenty of time, a lot of room on track. Mackey also going around, unfortunate for the wildcard driver. Let's see if he can recover a little bit in the race and get back through the field. Already having had the pit stop taken, does Maggie. As he just had a little bit of another touch with the wall. Barry R, or Mr. Barry R, are getting plenty of visits today from multiple drivers. It seems like he is not such a lonely guy anymore, Mr. Barry R. Moving a little bit slow as well, so he might be coming in for another pit stop. Battle of the Porsches. Macho and Ruben Tang. Whoa, contact! Whoa, that's a Ruben Tang that's into the wall. That's a big impact for him. I don't think Ruben Tang will be too pleased about that, the room that was left him there. But it is difficult when you're coming into a corner. You are focusing on the apex, and if your car is just in a millimeter of a crooked angle, then the room will not be there by the end of it when you have full focus on the apex. Ruben Tang with big damage on the car, trying to recover it back to the pits, it looks like, as he goes up the mountain. Another battle of the Porsches here between Blishma and Scheckerman. I think both of them started from... No, Blishma didn't. It was Or did he? I think... no, they didn't. They both started on the track. I think... Or did Schickermann start from the pits? Or did they both start pits? Doesn't really matter too much because they are battling nevertheless. The two Porsches running through the mountain and down it again we go. We will have to do this quite a few more times in the race, and we have seen how the smallest of mistakes costs big damage around here. One of the reasons why it's so prestigious to win around here. Good run from Schickermann this time around on Blitzme. As Schickermann does get it done there, looks like there must be some difference in aero packages on the cars. Look at the overspeed Schickermann had this time around. That was more than just a slingshot, it looks like. As Schickermann also runs too deep into the dominoes, ding-dong. Blitzme also just onto the grass. Maybe he'll have a chance to strike back. Doesn't look like it as Schickermann have the gap to defend into Murray. Before running into, well, yeah, Schickermann pulling the gap. I don't think there'll be much battling from Blitzman this one, as Schickermann will just race on into the distance ever so slowly. Frustrating situation really when you get overtaken and you just see the car ahead of you slowly pulling away. And you're wondering how in the world they're doing that. Peters already with the almost 10-second gap in the front, but De Knuit under pressure from Mitchells as well up there. Peters basically having had a very quiet race so far, also with the fastest lap. All he needs to do is not put it in a wall. As he comes nice and calmly into the dominoes, ding dong. And into Murray, the 77 car finally made it back to pit lane. That's Ruben Tang, I think. No, that's Paul Mackey, the 77. Still just cruising in that red and white Porsche. We have had the drama earlier in the season, but this time around everything seems to be going according to plan for Jordy Peters. But that's the thing. Speed might win you a race or two, but consistency wins you the championships. And that might just be the thing for Regan Mitchells, who still haven't finished outside of the podium this season. Even his scrap result is a P3 at the minute. Besides that, you have 1 win and 2 second places. If Peters wins this one, he'll be the most winning driver of the season, as we have had 4 different winners in the 4 races so far. With De Knuit winning the first one, Regan Mitchells in the second, Patrick van der Linden in the third, and then Jordy Peters in the fourth. So he will be the first double race winner, Jordy Peters, if he keeps this. But look at that, he's not holding any prisoners down there through the mountain. It is full sending it. The Porsche driver, but again, if you're used to driving in that speed, it can be a little bit difficult adjusting that you have all the time in the world, and you could go safe, but going safe means getting out of the rhythm, and getting out of the rhythm could be an issue. And that's another car in the mountain section. I think that's a Mackie again. And this time he returns to garage, and I think that is race over for Paul Mackey, unfortunately. As Oscar Misa have caught up to the back of Iron van der Linden. Doesn't matter too much for van der Linden if he loses this position, other than the honors in it, as it's not a battle for position in class. Van der Linden being a silver driver, behind Squirto, currently leading the class. Which means that if this result holds, then Squirto will jump ahead of van der Linden for P2 in the Silver Championship. There's a little bit of a change up in the standings. if Squirto manages to hold on to that that P1 in the silver class. Macho coming in to take his mandatory pit stop at the 50-minute mark. But whether or not that Oscar Misa can get that McLaren into an overtake position, that's the big question that we're asking at the minute, as he tries to follow Van Linden as much as possible. He of course does have the big advantage of the slipstream down the very long straights, but then as we go into the mountain, that slipstream becomes a big disadvantage as the positive effects becomes dirty air, and he gets difficulties keeping downforce on the car through the more technical and twisty parts of the circuit. Up through the cutting, getting it rotated nicely. Maybe could have gone a little bit early on the throttle, as Iron Van Linden gets a big gap up the mountain. But can he catch up through this section? Van Linden having to lift off there, it looks like, and not going too close to the inside. Up through Skyline, Oscar Misa actually getting all the time back there. So now it's the matter of the downhill run. How close does they dare go to the walls? Does leave a few millimeters, except for Misa there, as he does have a little bit of a touch with Mr. Barrier. Gets it rotated, could have rotated a little bit later to get the exit down, but Van Linden with, I think, a secure gap down the Conrad straight. That's the thing, if Misa can use the slipstream here, he can maybe get it set up to get the overtake down the mountain straight and into the quarry. Have to wait and see. Into the Domino's Ding Dong we go for these guys. Yellow flag again. That's Steve Parker that have gone off here on the right hand side of the Ding Dong. That could be terminal damage for him as the 103. Also, that's a Marto that's gone off again in the top of the mountain as he goes to the garage and retires. Mountain claims another victim. Parker gets going once again. Might be with enough damage to warrant an additional pit stop for Steve Parker, as he has been through pit lane already once, as he does come in again to repair the car. 10 minutes away from the halfway point. Supervard, I think he's actually the only wildcard driver remaining in the race, after there were like 4 or 5 starting and qualifying. So kudos to the THRC driver. Teammates with Iron Van Linden, I believe, endurance-wise. Also another TH something team that he drives. I can't honestly remember. There's so many teams at this point. But it could be the try-hard racing team, I've been told, or whispered softly in my ears. In the most gentle and sexy accent of all, the British accent. Not repeating that. Here's what happened to Amato. Apparently, ooh, losing it in the downhill there, getting a little bit loosey-goosey and then into the wall. Up, and then Vivard getting up there and just giving him a little bit of a love tap. I don't think Vivard could have avoided that contact with the speeds coming down there, but Amato out of the race, nevertheless. Unfortunate for him, as he had a reasonable run so far in this race, and in the championship maybe as well. I don't really, no, maybe not so much in the championship, as he have had a few rounds not being around. I think I just saw him in the standings on my side of the screen. Definitely did, and then now there is 19th. 2 races he didn't start for, and then a DNS, but he did have the 3rd place at round 1 on Silverstone, so There have been some upsides to the season. Garcia and Ottleman, again in battle, two drivers that we have been mentioning a lot in this race due to their high involvement in battling so far. So that's still going reasonably well. Very loud sound in my headset as if someone messaged me or something, but I can't see it popping up anywhere. So I guess it is what it is. Just getting everything back on the monitor there. I think maybe an ACC chat something have been... That, yeah. Nevertheless, Garcia on the pursuit of Ottleman. Garcia in 7th in the championship at the minute with Vale already having served the pit stop though, so it's interesting to see the difference between those two when the pit stop round have been completed, because they are currently tied on points for 6th place in the championship. They would need Vargas to have quite the moment to catch up to him points wise, but they are a little bit under threat from Oscar Misa and Shekerman behind if they get some really strong results here in the last half of the race. But as it stands at the minute, they are due on this Garcia. He will be jumping up to 6th, depending on where Vale will be in relation after the pits. Ottleman with the missed rounds earlier, then he will jump quite a few places in the standings after this one. I'm not going to sit and count how many, because it will be quite a few, as he'll jump from 10 points and then quite a ways up. Garcia got close there down the mountain, but not quite close enough. It is a difficult place to get any kind of overtakes done. But it have happened before, as he now tries to tuck in underneath the wing of Ottleman, getting into the slipstream, trying to get it all going. But again, that Aston actually looks pretty decent in comparison to the Audi, at least down the Conrad Straight. And if that's the case, then it will be maybe a little bit difficult for Garcia to overtake if he can't get the overspeed in these sections. It is reasonably good to be quick in the mountain section. I have a car that's stable and easy enough to drive there, but it does hurt you in chances to overtake around this track. Verhelst comes into the pits, as he will try to stop early, maybe going for tires. Over the crest on the mountain straight, the two drivers do love seeing the cars crest that hill. Crest that hill. Hill. Maybe it's Chris's hill. That's in Portugal or Spain or something. Anyway, what's the WTCC race for? For more jokes, or to get inside that inside joke. Definitely worth a watch. Garcia does look reasonably good up the mountain. It is difficult following another car through. We have mentioned this quite a few times before. Of course, these guys are on a level where it shouldn't be an issue for them to do so. They will have tried it once or twice before another yellow flag goes out. That's the 70 car. That's Bavel again, and that's in the Frog Hollow corner. And that's a strange place to go off, as he have gone to the garage and probably retires from the race. Verhelst's back out on track behind Sander Vale though. So that if he didn't take damage repairs, then it might not be the best of sights for Garcia. Shakerman returning to garage. The mountain is starting to claim a lot of victims. They started like 26, 28 cars and down to 19 at this point. And a big stop, go 30 for Carriera. Doesn't matter too much as you have secured the championship, but not the way that you want to finish off a season. As Garcia still tucks in behind Helmut into the pits as well. Garcia tucks in closer this time around, but not quite close enough to go for any sort of moves. Through the quarry and up the mountain we go again, as those barriers just get so close when you go through here. When you're set in the car, you're definitely aware that the barriers are that close, but it's not something that you really think about when you go racing, and just focused on keeping the car on track as if it was just grass on the outside. At least when you go sprint racing, maybe endurance, you might have it in the back of your head that if you hit a wall it could be over. Both cars using that curb on the outside that have tricked drivers before. If you hit it at a bad angle, who is that up ahead? Moving slow, that's one of the back marker cars. I think that's Carriera, who didn't look comfortable in qualifying, and then again in the race not having the best of times out there. I think Carriera could be, he's letting them go here, but he could probably have stayed ahead and then just served the stop go immediately if we would have had the run, but he stays out of the battle. Garcia definitely much closer this time around. He will have to try and get the good exit and then having the good run. Marshall back out on track, by the way, driving a little bit slowly, but he will try to stay as close as possible here. He needs to run out of Murray and then a very good run out of Hill Corner to set it up for an overtake into the quarry. That would be the best opportunity at this point for Garcia, but let's see what will happen through Hill. But again, Ottman very good on the acceleration. That Aston Martin seems to be so comfortable on the curves that he can really just get that throttle planted. But Garcia, I thought he was closing there, but definitely not enough as we are already into the quarry. So once again, he'll have to stick close through the mountain section to try and open up another opportunity. Both getting the good rotation on the cutting, a little bit loosey-goosey on the rear there from the Audi driver. The lone Audi driver, we should say. As he starts the last half of the race. Well, we did that 30 seconds ago, but you know what I mean. The YouTube chat is, by the way, open for questions or comments of any sorts that we will try and answer the best we possibly can from the small shed placed in an unknown and marked location, unmarked location, we should say. De Knuit coming into the pits. He is definitely taking tires then. Maybe Regan Mitchell is going for the no tire change strategy then, and will run deep into the race. Before we see him pit, Garcia also coming into the pits. Same for Vargas. Drivers pitting around this point, they will most definitely be taking tires. I would assume, at least. That would be the only logical explanation to why you want to pit now. I wonder if Jordy Peters will take the tires. He does have the gap that he could do that without being too much in risk from behind. Which what's rolling? Knuit is rolling in pit lane again, so might not have been on the jacks to take tires. Would be surprised if he didn't, though. I think they must have done the both Knoit and Vargas. Will Peter stop and take tires for safety? Or staying out there? He could actually try for a really fun strategy. He comes in this time around, it looks like. They crossed the pit entry line though. But he could have tried for a very interesting and fun strategy by not taking the stop now, going as deep as possible, taking tires in the pit stop, even though he comes in late to try and get a qualifying lap basically on the board as the fastest lap. Parties also into the pits, but he's leaving again already. Mitchell's also into the pits. So yeah, highly doubt that would have been one of the drivers I would have thought could have gone all the way on no tires. And look at that, after the pit stop, Vale with a big gap down to Garcia, but Vale took the pit stop that early that if Garcia had fresh tires, then I would not put it behind him to try and catch up 10 seconds to Vale in this race, which roughly is the gap. Looking at the Knoit in the small picture, in the battle for second, and Mitchell's in the big screen. Mitchell's dropped from the jacks. The Knoit was ahead before the pit stops, but let's see as Regan Mitchell comes out of the pits. They will be very close to top, just behind for Regan Mitchell. He did gain a lot though on that, but now he'll have to get the tires into temperature. That might be where he will fall back behind with 2.8 seconds, something like that, before the pits. Odelman still out there on track, going for the glory run. Iron finally comes in as well. But yeah, that battle that could form between Garcia having to catch up to Vale, and how that will go to the end, that will be one of the more interesting ones to keep an eye on here for the last half of the race. How that will progress, and if he will have enough to catch up to Vale. That's the thing. Garcia, he will be in a state of mind where he'll be pushing to catch up to him, but Vale, he knows that Garcia will do that, and he can maybe go a little bit more safe can Vale do, because even if Garcia catches him or catches Vale, then Vale can just go defensive. One thing is to catch another driver, another thing is to get the overtake done, especially around Mount Panorama. But let's see how that goes. Closest battle on track would be between the Knoit and Regan Mitchell. Basically after the pit stop round, as Odelman comes in as well, so only Blishma and Misa not having stopped yet. As the Knoit have put a lap down, I think that's Misa behind, or will overtake Misa for position. That would have been maybe even. I think that's Misa's McLaren at least. Yeah, well, it definitely is, because he's the only McLaren left on the racing circuit. And that seems to be a problem for Regan Mitchell, as he is now stuck behind and will have to get the overtake done. No blue flags to assist him in this one. It will have to be a proper overtake on track. As you can see, that Bentley edging away ever so slightly. Going forward into Crow, it does look like that it's reasonably safe to assume that he got that done. And behind the trees, the old 499 Ferrari emerges as P3 currently in the race. 1.6 seconds though on the timing line up to the Bentley of the Knoit. Wonder how that will go. Vargas have caught up to a little bit of traffic as well, as he will have to clear Blishma in the battle for sixth. Didn't get it done before the mountain. Oh, damage on the front of Vargas' car. don't know how old that is or whether or not that he actually fixed some damage in the pits and it's just a visual bug. But he have had a contact with something at some point in the race, have Nick Vargas, the lone Mercedes driver. As they round the dip of Vargas, potentially with a lot better tires than Blishma. And with this gap between them, the toe overtake or the slipstream assisted overtake should be no problem for the Mercedes driver. I'm saying that, but he haven't pulled out and we have already gone into the Domino's ding dong. Maybe that Porsche have more grunt to it than it looks like. And the longer Vargas are behind, the lower the probability are that he would catch up to Odelman in this one. Even giving a Sander Vale a reasonable chance of catching up to them. Garcia have dropped the gap to Vale down to about 7 seconds. Of course, Helmut are between them still. This time, yeah, basically Blishma just lets Vargas go through. Van Mellis also under pressure from Verhelst in a battle for position out there on track. 2 cars with orange in the paint scheme. And they both have taken their pit stops, so nothing between them and that could help out. This will be a straight-out battle on track. And Verhelst will need to get this one done if he wants the position away from his fellow Dutchman. Van Mellis not with the best of runs through the quarry, but Verhelst not wanting to make that side-by-side into the cutting there. As they run up the mountain with 28 minutes to go. That's about 14 laps worth of racing. As they go through Frog Hollow and into the top of the mountain. And Skyline we go. Oh! That was that's Carriara that collected Van Mellis. Once again, as we mentioned earlier, Van Mellis does have this sixth sense of getting collected in other cars crashing out. Something that he have been, yeah, Van Mellis definitely have damage on that one. Something that Van Mellis have been known for a good many seasons. Being at the wrong place at the wrong time. I think he could have had a much better results over the years if he could have avoided stuff like that. Not much that Van Mellis could have done in that one, of course. Just like John McClane. Just happens to be there at the wrong time. But yeah, Carrera again, still ATF still running, though I think he just wants to get this race finished and get himself across the line to have finished all of the races as well this season and lift the championship trophy, or the virtual championship trophy. As Odelman applying the pressure to Misa. Odelman probably really wanting to get this one done, as Misa might be holding him up a little bit out there on track. Meanwhile, Vale also will get pressured soon from Helmut behind. But Odelman needing to get this move done. He will have the fresher tires, so the slicker tires. As we'll all have to get used to saying after the Daytona 24 on the weekend. We do love those Americans when they are doing comps. Yellow flag again, the 136. The who? Bavard. The wildcard driver. Van Mellis got the car back to the pits. As Odelman still haven't found a way through yet. or past at least. Meanwhile, Reindeer Helmout trying it on Sander Vale. Vale having done the alternate strategy of boxing very, very early in the race, getting out of all the traffic. Haven't been able to pace himself throughout the whole race. But it comes down to this: can he defend for the last 25 minutes of the race, as Garcia also starts to lurk in the background? For Vale, he definitely wants Reindeer Helmout to stay there, because having a car between himself and Garcia might be helpful by the end of this. Of course, it is a direct battle between Garcia and Vale for the championship position. As long as they finish higher than 11th, of course. Which it does look like that they will, to be honest, at this point. 2 cars ahead of them still needing to serve their mandatory pit stop. But I guess this is quite the clear indication. Vale didn't take tires in the pits, or at least likely didn't take tires in the pits. Highly doubt that he did, and Misa and Blitzman will also try taking no tires in this race. Elsewise, I think I need to have a word with their strategy advisors if they are coming at this point for tires. But a Vale feeling the pressure. 2 Ferraris, so nothing engine-wise or basic aero-wise on the cars. Of course, they can be running different wing levels and different ride heights, and maybe a little bit of rig on some of the cars, but they both have the same tools to get this done. The green Ferrari, of course, Sander Vale, and the white, yellow, black-ish Ferrari being a Reindeer Helmout. Garcia have put the gap down to less than 3 seconds on the last split. Let's see over the line. But his drop chart just goes above 3 again to Helmout to the back of this train, but he is there and thereabouts. Catching up as a little bit of a grass screen has been deployed. Probably the world's most expensive lawnmower, these Ferraris. Helmout just is showing himself in the mirror there, just making sure that Vale knows he is there and he could potentially go for it. With fresher tires, he should have a little bit better stopping power, so it is not unheard of that he might go for a half dive at some point. As long as he gets it stopped in time, of course. That would be fine through Frog Hollow. Rounding the crest of the mountain and into Skyline we go. I wonder if Vale will start getting a little bit nervous about the tires though. Depending on how hard he have driven the car, of course. The track temp have been in his favor to do this on the one set, but the pressure is getting more and more real for every second that passes. Through the top of the rolling hills. Looking in the mirror, but no one there that will go for the move. At least the distance is too great. But this time into Murray Vale having to show himself a little bit defensive there. Not quite enough to get anything out of Helmout. Verhelst also catching up to Squirto. A little bit further behind. Not quite within battle range yet, but he is getting there. Verhelst, that's Van Mellis. They were battling before Van Mellis had to take that pit stop, so Van Mellis the lap behind at least from where he was. Van Mellis who got caught up in that one earlier. Oh, Verhelst just had Verhelst definitely just had an instant as he dropped a lot of time there to Scueto. So it will be this battle. Ooh, the 72 car again. That's Carriera, who's definitely not having a good day on the office. He might want to go practice Mount Panorama a little bit after this one to get a better feel for it, or just have a thought about at least look at that. That's Garcia. That's definitely catching up now. He almost seems flying over the mountain in comparison to the two Ferraris. Ooh, this time getting a little bit frisky there, does Helmut. He will take that semi-evasive line to avoid Van Sander Vale, which gets him under pressure from Wolf Garcia. That Audi looks very menacing in the background. Down straight, Garcia not quite close enough this time around, but he is definitely getting there. Sometime during next lap, we could potentially start seeing that Audi try for moves on the first of the two Ferraris, standing in his way for a 6th place in the championship. We do know the Ferrari is very lenient on the tires, so that could be a helping factor for Sander Vale in the green Ferrari ahead of them. But it does surely look like that the two cars giving chase definitely have the pace for it. And for some reason we have Verhelst in the frame with Van Millis behind the laps between them. Yeah, there should be. This should not be on the same lap. Van Millis is 16th. For the yes, yes, the entertainment value that we value so highly here on the Simsport Racing International channel. Remember to hit the like and subscribe button, of course, and bell for notifications for when we go live. Hopefully we'll get something up and running for LMU next week. Besides that, it would be for the 13th season of the Sprint Championship. That is likely to happen, but yeah. Before getting into that, we have to finish the 12th season first. And it does look like this cracking battle will continue. It's definitely a freeway battle now, as Helmut getting a little bit frisky there, all the way underneath the ring of Vale. From the attack to the defense, Garcia tries for it. They're side by side, 2 wheels in the gravel for Reindeer, having to concede this run. I think as he'll have the outside for Hill corner. As Garcia gets up there, trying the switcheroo, but not quite in a position to do so there from Reindeer Helmut. But now Reindeer does have the slipstream and the better run. Reindeer tries for it, going to the outside, the inside now, the outside. Into the quarry we go. Reindeer goes a little bit ahead, little bit of a contact there, but they keep it on track. No wall contact, so Reindeer still in it though. But Garcia gets the move done after all. Now he will be looking at the end of, or the back end of Sander Vale. But Vale might not be a guy that you can push around, because Vale knows if they both crash out, then the position will be Vale's in the championship. Even if they both fall very, very far down. The running order, Oscar Misa could be challenging them both for the position, actually, if they fall too far behind, honestly. If he's in a good position after his pit stop. I highly doubt that he'll come out ahead of these guys, but Vale have more to give than Garcia in this one. as they are catching up to a little bit of traffic. Yeah, that could actually be Blishma. That's not traffic, that's actually a battle for position on track. That's Blishma, who still haven't had his pit stop with 15 minutes to go. The last quarter of an hour of this season of racing. But Blishma dives in this time around, getting out of the way of this battle as Garcia goes for it. Garcia gets it done, it looks like, into Quarry. A little bit wobbly there on the exit, giving Vale an opportunity to strike back. Vale goes to the inside, will have the inside line for Hill Corner. Early on the break, Garcia turns in, but it gets denied there as Garcia goes behind Reindeer. Vale still ahead, but he will have to go side by side with Reindeer Helmout now, as they have the run down the mountain straight into the quarry. Reindeer have gone ahead. I think Vale will have to concede that position, as he doesn't have the tires really to go side by side through there. But Garcia immediately on the attack, not quite close enough to go for a dive into to the cutting, but he is there, and Vale will feel the pressure immediately, as they will just see Helmout Reindeer. So Reindeer Helmout just pulling away a little bit in the front. It was so slightly more and more. Garcia and Vale would probably be in the same chat. They're both mode 11 drivers, so there might not be as much drama in it as we think, but it is definitely the bragging rights over your teammate. Oh, Garcia getting loosey-goosey there as they come on the run down the hill into the dipper. Garcia with the better run this time out of the corner, but Vale with the better run. Garcia with the slipstream though. Cresting another one of the rolling hills through this time Garcia goes through. It looks like the Vale might have lifted there. It seemed definitely a little bit like too much of an overspeed there for Garcia for it to be more than a dream. But Garcia goes through, passes his teammate. That would be for 6th in the championship, as he will go on the chase on Reindeer Helmout. 12 minutes for it to catch up and steal away 7th. That might actually be 6th in the race after Oscar Misa takes his pit stop. So Garcia on pursuit of Reindeer Helmout. 12 minutes, that's 6 laps plus 1 likely, so that's 7 laps of racing that he have basically to catch up to the Ferrari ahead of him. But a little bit of a mistake there, and Vale immediately on the giving the pressure back to Garcia. Iron van der Linden, who have moved past the Blishma, who have gone into the pit, so it's only Oscar Misa at this point who are yet to come in and serve his mandatory pit stop. As they crest the mountain once again before the downhill. But it has been a very good drive from Vale with such old tires, sticking it in there, being able to fight with both Wolf Garcia and Helmout for that long. Top strategy call. I think Vale also might have had some sort of issue in the start of the race, as I think he was very, very far down at least. But it did bring him out of all of the danger of getting collected in crashes and getting himself a lot of free air to just focus on his own race. That's one of the things that you can really do in these 75-minute races with just the mandatory fuel. If you believe that your tires can go the full race, then you have the option of diving in early to get out of traffic. Problem is if you're in a situation where you're risking blue flag by doing so, but Vale not in that situation this time around. Jordi Peters still leading it out there, 20-second gap. down to Dimitri de Knoit, who have had a stunning season so far. Probably if we had to put a name on driver of the season, then I think de Knoit would be there, or surprise of the season. And I think de Knoit would probably be my my vote on that. If you have one out there in the YouTube chat or in the comments after the race, then please put it in. Who have been your favorite driver all season and in this race? De Knoit with a win, 2 fourths, a little bit disappointing 15th last time out, and now back into podium positions in P2. As it stands right now, out of the top 4 drivers, he's the only one with only 1 podium. 5th place also just with the 1 podium. The rest of them have been there multiple times in this season, but de Knoit have just been super consistent and managing to keep that car in point scoring, good point scoring positions all season, and that's why he's managed to keep that P2 in the championship. Although he is dropping championship-wise, he will be falling down to 3rd after this one, as Jordy Peters undoubtedly will take away P2 with this win, just 1 point between them before this race. So a bit unfortunate for the Bentley driver, but still super strong season, especially in a car like the Bentley, being able to fight with these guys in such old machinery. Same goes for Regan Mitchell, who took the championship 2nd time in a row in the 488 Ferrari. That's the number 9 car. That's a Verhelst that I've had a little bit of a whoopsie in the Domino's ding dong. As he will have dropped down behind Ian van der Linden, who've also had a reasonable season. He will finish it off in in 3rd place after Squirto jumps from a P4 all the way up to P2 after this race. There was a 2-point gap between them before this one, but that will be his favor. Squirto, by the way, missing 2 rounds of the season, and in the 3 races that he have done, he have won the silver class in every single one of the races that he have been competing in. One of the DMF drivers, team that have put up many cars this season, and they have been very, very good showing, have done a good showing for themselves out there with tons of great racing. As my voice is basically trying to kill itself at this point. Just ahead on track of Van Melis. Of course, Van Melis being a lap down, but could potentially try and unlap himself, although knowing how Bas usually drives, he might just stick behind for the last 6 minutes or 7 minutes basically of the race and enjoy the drive. Kind reminder to drivers out there, doesn't matter where you finished in the championship or the race, maybe come in for a little bit of an interview afterwards. We would like to hear from you. Squirto just slowly moves around the track, or well, quickly moves around the track. Of course, I think if you call this slow, then you might have to change your last name to Stroll. Get it? Strolling around. But it goes as it goes. Squirto looking at the back of the lone McLaren on track of Oscar Misa. We have done a good race. We have seen him in a few issues this time around, but maintaining a top 10 position, being 9th currently. I wonder if Squirto can catch up to the back of Oscar Misa and maybe go for the move. It will be a little bit risky doing it at this point, as Squirto, he will maybe have it in the back of his mind that if he drops behind Van der Linden, then he will drop away from a second in the championship and give that to Van der Linden instead. And that's the thing when we have these multiple classes in there. Obviously, more championships and there's more things to think about when you are in the silver class. You both have the overall championship that we haven't been talking that much about at all because it's a little bit tricky getting points put together for that. But some drivers are thinking about it. And then you have the battling on track with the pro drivers as well as we see that Squirto letting Van Melis unlap himself. Also quite clear signal that he's not going to try and catch up to Oscar Misa and go for the 9th place in the race. But you have to think about that when you're battling on track. If you're battling a pro driver and you're in a situation where you are in the championship fight up, just battling for podium in your own class, then you might not be as aggressive as if it was a silver class driver because you want that podium so badly. So a lot of strategy driving in the silver class, even though that you might not think about it that much outside of well, you might not think that much about it when you're in the car. And you might not be thinking about it as a spectator of the racing, but it is in the back of most people's minds when you're out there. Yeah, and I think it ended up with Verhelst actually retiring from the race after some sort of a collision at some point. So down to 16 runners out on track. In theory, both Fafana and Sheikhaman could roll out of the garage just to say that they finished the race and do the one lap. Odelman still in reasonable control. Big gap up to Mitchells and big gap down to Vargas. One of the more recognizable cars of this championship, as you've been running the same livery for quite a few seasons. So that's one of those when you see the Aston Martin with the stripes down the middle, then you know it's Odelman racing. Getting to the point where it might be one of the retro liveries still in use. Peter's just a lap and a corner away from finishing the race. As Odelman goes down the dipper for the final time. Oh, not the final. He'll have one more go at it. My mind is already on rest mode, I think, ready for the season break. He have been the best Aston Martin tonight, Odelman, by quite a lot. We have seen this before. I do feel like we have seen that car being around in one of the races. Maybe it was round 2 where he didn't have the best of luck. But usually when he gets to the end, he gets there in reasonable positions. And the P4 today is quite good. Still with one of the main drivers this season, Nick Vargas, behind. Vargas, who was so close to a win in round 3, but it was so slightly missed out at in Spa. one of the drivers that we would really like to get that maiden Tuesday night win. Have been close a few times. On his best days, he can run with the best of the drivers out there without needing luck or anything else involved. And they have just been one of those days. P5 taking it home, not risking too much, as the checkered flag will come out when Jordy Peters crosses the line as he goes into the Domino's Ding Dong for the final time. In the Porsche, it will be a win of 20 plus seconds for the Porsche driver, as he goes across the line and takes the checkered flag to win the race. 2 in a row to finish the season. The first one was so nice, he had to do it twice. As Dimitri Diknoid will come in to take P2 and 3rd place in the championship, losing that P2 in the final round here to Jordy Peters, but there was no touching him today. So P2 for Dimitri Diknoid. Regan Mitchell, championship winner, was already secured before this race, finishing it off with a podium in P3, flashing the lights as he comes across the line, as he can go enjoy some champagne afterwards. Oh, and of course he will have to have a birthday champagne, as it is Regan Mitchell's birthday. So a happy birthday to you, Regan, and congrats with the championship once again. Odelman in 4th, Nick Vargas in the battle-damaged Mercedes, coming home in 5th position. Reindeer Helmut taking 6th. Garcia couldn't catch up in the end, as Garcia jumps up to 6th place in the championship standings after this, getting ahead of his teammate Sander Vale, as they came into this final round all tied on points. Vale taking the 8th. Blisma already confirmed to be 3rd in silver class, or the semi-pros, the silver class. Oscar Misa will take 9th, as he comes over the line ever so slowly, cresting it in, getting it done. Scupetto's P2 in the silver class, and Iron van der Linden having to give up what it was a second before this, dropping to P3 in the silver championship, but good drive from him. As Fabio Carriara, even though today wasn't so good, he still managed to pull it home. As we are joined by the birthday boy Regan Mitchells in the chat room. Congratulations on the championship. It was secured before today, but still having to pull through in the end.
Hello, hello. Yeah, thank you. Pretty happy with that. Maybe not today, but overall, pretty happy with that.
Yeah, consistency pays off. 2 in a row in the 499 Ferrari. That might be the lucky car.
Maybe. It's definitely, I have to work for that look in this car.
Definitely, and a whole season without finishing outside of the podium. That consistency really seemed to be what paid the dividends this season for you.
Yeah, just turn up, find a pace, stick to it, don't cause any crashes or do anything silly, and yeah, it works out.
Yeah, definitely. We have seen Jordy Peters, of course, taking 2 wins to round off the season. But you have been challenged as well in the front of the field this time around by both Diknoid and Patrick van der Linden also getting there, and Vargas as well. Have been a closer season on track maybe than we have been used to the last couple of years.
Yeah, oh Jesus, voice break. I couldn't really find the pace I wanted today, so I just had to make do. I kind of started to figure things out towards the end, and then I pushed it too far and put myself in the wall. Luckily, not too hard.
And luckily not on stream.
Oh, I just dubbed myself in. I shouldn't have said anything. But yeah, still enjoyed it. Tried to keep up, and to the Bentley didn't quite happen.
No, it was really close, especially after the pits. You almost came out side by side there. I don't think we need to ask whether or not you took tires, not as we assume that you definitely did.
Yeah, I think we both did. I missed my pit box slightly. I think I would have been in front if not for that. Yeah, just little things can go a long way.
Yeah, and all Constantina's around. We know the Ferrari is usually a little bit rougher on the tires than a lot of the other cars. Then on a track like this, that's also known for a high tire wear. Was it ever in your mind to try and go the full race on one set of tires?
No, I've tried that a few times in the last 2 seasons, and it rarely worked out. So I've kind of just written that off. I'm going to pretty much take tires every time.
Yeah, it's usually also the winning strategy around, but we have seen the no tire changes do well from time to time. I think only today there was 3 drivers who opted to not have the tires, and yeah, we really saw their pace drop by the end of the race.
Yeah, I think at 75 minutes, more often than not, it kind of just turns out that whoever was faster anyway will still win, regardless of the strategy, unless there's like extenuating circumstances.
Definitely, we don't have much news about the next season yet, but I assume that we'll see you back on track to defend yet another title.
Oh yes, I wonder I might take.
Number
1.
I think you should take it number 1, and I think you should select the Jaguar just to make it more fair for the other drivers.
Yeah, I'll give it a practice run in my own time, but I'm promising nothing.
I think it would be funny if you took the Jaguar and then could get Peters into one of the other older cars, maybe the I don't know, V12 Aston, maybe M6 BMW, something fun.
That would be funny, but I don't think we would be winning then.
Oh, you never know.
Thank you.
Yeah, we will let you go and enjoy the rest of your birthday and enjoy that champagne for another championship and a full season of podiums.
Oh yeah.
I have been Oliver Anderson, Mr. One of Oliver, and behind the cameras, as always, have been Grandpa Chris Hill. Until next time we see each other here on the channel, may you all have a good evening and a good off season out there. Good night.